I think part of it is they're better. There's no question. They're just better than they were, 5-10 years ago in many cases. Yeah, and I was having a discussion with somebody this past weekend about players not only being able to contribute early, but teams' willingness to let them contribute early, because it was not that long ago. Rookies didn't play for good teams. They played for bad teams.
You're right.
They got minutes on bad teams because those teams were bad. They got the high draft picks, and the high draft picks played for those bad teams. But good teams, especially playoff teams, you can go back, and it's not that long ago when you think about this. I remember during a playoff year, I told somebody this weekend, during a playoff season, there were a ton of complaints about Memphis not playing their rookies. It was like Jordan Adams, Russ Smith, like a couple guys, right? And I remember going through and being like, I wonder if there are other rookies that are getting minutes in the playoffs. And I went and looked, and there was one, and he had played in the G League most of the season, and it was Clint Capella. So that's not that long ago. And that's of all 16 playoff teams, there was one rookie that playoff season that got real minutes. And that's not that long ago. And now, you got rookies contributing on literally every team that is playing. It's a different deal.
Of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I think if they're not rookies, they might be second-year guys.
I think part of it is they're better. There's no question. They're just better than they were, 5-10 years ago in many cases. I'm saying as a collective, not individual players, right? There's obviously been individual players that were amazing early. The other thing is, when you're building out a team and you're paying these guys $40-50 million when they're taking up that percentage of the salary cap, you have got to the gold in the NBA is players that outperform their contracts. And you have no better opportunity at that than somebody that is on a rookie contract. So you're paying $4 or $5 million for a guy that can start for you in many cases, play 35 minutes for you, and give you real production, all the while developing along the way. You've got to have $4 and $5 million contributors if you've got one or two guys that's on your team that's making, $30-40 million a year, which is honestly all the good teams are going to have that. Every team that has a chance at winning is going to have two guys that are making an absolute fortune. And then they're going to have a lot of guys on their team that aren't. And the trick is, can you get those guys that aren't to outperform their deals? And rookies, they're as good a chance as you got as anybody, unless you're in a big market and somebody just signs with you because they want to play for that team and they're willing to take less money.
Think about Jalen Suggs. So Jalen Suggs, we saw him drafted 5th by the Magic. His salary this coming season will be $6.5 million, and then $6.9 million, then $7.3, and then $9.2. That's the first 4 years of his contract. That's what he'll make. Year one, he could very well exceed the salary of a $6.6 million player when we saw him as somebody, everything he did at Gonzaga, two-way player who just, constantly hustles on defense, makes plays on the ball, aware off the ball. On offense, he facilitates, he's smart, hits threes. We know who Jalen Suggs is. We saw it in first game of the Summer League. He hit threes when defenders went under screens. You see that play he made in the last 30 seconds, a 2-on-1 fast break, and he stopped the play. That is Jalen Suggs. So if you're the Magic, you have him making, like I said, in the 4th year, $9.2 million. In the 3rd year, $7.3 million. He could be worth double at least or triple that on the open market at that point. And so for the Magic, when you're team building and you have a good player, drafted high that's contributing, that's insanely valuable. Never mind the guys that, like you said, are making $3, $4, $5 million that are drafted, after 15 or after 20. It's just that's the thing with, we mentioned him in passing, TRAE Murphy earlier. He's making $3 million this year.
Right.
He'll be making $5.2 million in his 4th year. TRAE Murphy, 6'9" guy who can drain threes, defend, make smart plays, maybe play inside for you a little bit, run, as a screener, hang around the dunker spot if you really want him to do that. If you want him to do that, like the versatility he has. I mean, that dude, those players make $20+ million on the open market. So
absolutely.
Like, getting those guys is like the biggest thing for your franchise when it comes to building a winning team.
And think about they both signed these $200 million extensions, but look at the value you've gotten out of LUKA and TRAE. You know, they haven't made real money yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just signed for their real money.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like they've been in the league a long time. They haven't. They've played 3 seasons.
Yeah.
One of them's one of the top 5 players in the league. The other one just led a team to the Eastern Conference Finals, for God's sakes.
And by the way, Luka's deal doesn't even kick in until next year. Like he's probably going to be a leading MVP candidate entering this season, making $10.2 million. And this is one of the reasons why there are a lot of people who understandably argue there shouldn't be a draft, like that players should be able to sign straight into the open market and make what they should make. I mean, there's arguments on both sides for a lot of different reasons. But for as it is now, as it is today, if you hit on a draft pick, those first 4 years for you, never mind the security afterwards with a restricted free agent with another potentially additional 4 years, man, like there's nothing better. Like that's the most valuable thing.
I understand that, and I understand that argument, but in terms of it never happening, I would say it will never happen, and here's why. You've already got veterans that are getting replaced every single year, right?
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
It's cost more to keep those veterans around. Your veteran minimum can many times work against you. A guy that would have an NBA roster spot is getting replaced for a lesser player. The other thing is you want to have that money for your superstars, right? And there were just too many mistakes made by owners back in the day. They did it the other way. Glenn Robinson got a fortune when he came out. Big Country got a fortune when he came out. There were all manner of guys that got an absolute fortune before they had proven anything in the NBA. You want the money that is floating around the NBA to be able to get in the hands of the proven guys.
Glenn Robinson, by the way, was a 10-year deal, $68 million.
Yeah.
And, according to Wikipedia, that still stands as the richest NBA rookie contract as a salary cap for rookies was implemented the following season. So that was way back.
And Glenn Robinson was good, but what if he was a bust? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of those guys got an absolute fortune, and it wasn't for the betterment. Right? You want that money that the league is generating to be going into the hands of the guys that are truly generating that money, which in fairness is the Luka Doncic's of the world. But Luka's he just got his $200 million. You know what I mean? If you're good, it's going to be there for you, and you're going to by the time these guys get to year 4, they are cashing in with generational wealth.